Going off the back there, Ron. Yeah, Michael. Have it now. Yeah, I can see it. Here we go. So, good evening. We're going to adjourn the executive session we've been in, and I apologize to staff and people for us being late, but we're going to go back into it after the meeting's over, so we didn't get finished. So I'll adjourn the executive session and open up our January 7th Port of Bellingham Board of Commissioners regular session. And I'll read Port of Bellingham mission statement: to promote sustainable economic development, optimize transportation gateways, and manage publicly owned land and facilities to the benefit of Whatcom County. There's 3 ways to participate in these meetings. You can watch it on YouTube, and you can zoom in. That information can be got through our website, Port of Bellingham. We're going to have I'll read you the Marina or the Advisory Committee meeting schedules. We have a Marina Advisory Committee, the MAC meeting, January 14th at 6 p.m. at the Port Administration Office, upstairs, Mount Baker Conference Room, in person only, unless that's not correct. We have the BIAC, the Bellingham International Airport Advisory Committee meeting, January 16th at 4 p.m. And that's in person and Zoom, both. The in-person will be at the Aircraft Rescue Firefighting ARF Station at 2005 West Bakerview Road, Bellingham. And the rest of that information is also on our website. Now we'll take a roll call. Commissioner Shepard? Here. Commissioner Bell?
Present.
Commissioner Briscoe is present. We'll have 2 public comment periods, one in the beginning here and one at the end. Out of respect for everyone who attends the commission meeting, we'd like you to keep your comment periods to 3 minutes, please, and respect everybody's comments and kind of keep from caterwauling and clapping and hooraying or yelling or throwing vegetables or whatever it is that goes on. So, do we have anyone? I don't see anything. So we have no one for public comment. Anyone online for public comment? No? Okay. We have a new hire introduction. Rob, are you going to do that? Or?
I think Joe and Sam are, so Sam can go first because he's up front.
Afternoon. I'd like to present, our newest project engineer. Once again, I'm Sam Ship. I'm Engineering Program Manager, Port of Bellingham. But this is Joey Swinford. He comes from a local engineering firm. He has experience working with other municipalities, utilities, and a lot of experience in stormwater. Another thing that we're excited about is he did have some experience out at Roach Harbor, working some seasonal work out there. But we're just real excited. Welcome to the team, and we're glad that you're aboard. Thank you.
As is tradition, when a Coug joins the port, you're supposed to step up and sing the fight song.
Yeah, welcome aboard.
Hello, Commissioners. Joe Spencer, Port Maintenance Manager. I oversee the grounds crew. So this is our new hire, Zeke Smith. He was one of our seasonals this past year. Did such a great job. When we had an open up, we decided to keep him. So you'll see him mowing lawns most of the time. He'll be out running a lawn crew, but doing like seasonal cleanup right now. So thanks.
Welcome aboard, Zeke. Glad to be here. Okay, we'll move to consent agenda. Commissioner Shepard, anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a question on D&E. It's mostly about kind of staff capacity for our broadband work. Our point person for broadband is no longer with us, and I just want to know how we're picking up that kind of workload and how we're collaborating with the PUD to move forward these broadband initiatives, including the two we have here on our agenda.
Yeah, great. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Tyler Schroeder, Economic Development Director, Port of Bellingham. As you indicated, Commissioner Shepard, we've had a project manager leave staff, and she was really focused on broadband. And so for the last month and a half, I've been getting myself more intimately knowledgeable on the broadband projects, which is really why these two Cobb-Finley agreements are in front of Commission today. Working with the Cobb-Finley project managers on the North Ferndale and North Linden segments, both of which we've gotten grants over the years, County EDI, one CURB grant and one Washington State Broadband Office grant, to be able to design and engineer. And then in the past, we've gone into an IRU with Pogo Zone to do the maintenance and operations of the facility, similar to the East Nooksack project that's almost completed. So Cobb-Finley is needed some additional dollars to be able to complete the North Linden segment. That'll likely be done by June of this year, the design and engineering of that. The North Ferndale, which is also in here, needs some additional dollars, and that will likely not be done until later this year, which is within the timeline for the grants, which was for construction by 2026. One thing I do want to recognize is that I'm paying close attention to the capital budget, the $3 million and $5 million that we have for grants. The costs have gone up from the time that we've gotten those grants to the time that we're going to be doing construction. So just as I've gotten more aware of the project itself, I wanted to just flag that to Commission. The design and engineering will be well worth it, and these extensions are fairly small dollar amounts. But we'll be making a decision here in the near future about construction allocations and capital grants associated with it. I've been working directly with Andrew Echtine at the Whatcom County PUD and Chris, the general manager there. I gotta say, Andrew and Chris are very knowledgeable on PUD. Andrew has an extensive background in Skagit County and really is a broadband manager. And as the commission knows, we have an agreement with the PUD to help provide services back and forth. So with us maybe losing expertise on staff, that's allowed us to rely on the PUD and Andrew's knowledge to really carry it forward. So I've probably had one too many broadband Zoom calls in the last month, but it's been important to accomplish and move it forward. And I compliment Andrew's work associated with that in the PUD. The PUD commission and decisions have been trying to identify how best to move forward with the BEAD applications. That's really what's in front of us right now, and a lot of the additional work outside of these two Cobb-Finley contracts that we have. And that has to do with the federal funds that are coming down through BEAD to be able to design and engineer the 11 different project areas in Whatcom County. There's been some back and forth on the notice of funding on that because there was a 25% match from local governments for those project areas. That then the broadband office stepped back and said, no, the state was not going to match those in the middle of December. They've now come back forward and said, here's a new notice of funding that was just released. I think it was the 5th one in about a month and a half period, which is pretty unique, and said, we'll match 25% as the broadband office and the governor's is submitting to the legislature for legislature approval in this year's budget. And so that's what the notice of funding is reliant upon. So of course, we'll have to lobby and make sure that the legislature approves that close to 320 million, I think, statewide, for the 25% match. So in the last month, we've really been strategizing which partners to work with on the BEAD applications. And I just got done with a couple of calls this afternoon with the Port of Skagit representative, with Andrew from the PUD on really identifying which partner organizations, entities to apply for BEAD applications. I'll likely come back at the next commission meeting with an update on those BEAD applications and that process associated with it. Those BEAD applications are due by the end of January. So we'll be looking for some commission support on applying for those BEAD applications, and I'll have more details associated with that. So you can see that I've gotten myself knowledgeable on the broadband projects. I'm hopeful that the BEAD applications will be submitted, and we will see if the state legislature applies or gets the 25% match. And I'm having a good sense of where the two existing projects are, the North Ferndale and North Linden, to get the design and engineering ready. But I do want to recognize that we may need some additional capital money associated with those.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. That was helpful. I'm really glad to hear the collaboration with the PUD is going well, and I recognize it's a very steep learning curve for the broadband stuff. When are we going to be able to have some data on knowing how successful or what kind of lessons might be learned or opportunities exist from the first implementation of the East Nooksack project? At some point, it would be nice to hear about, user subscription, cost, effectiveness, and just some update on how that project is rolling out.
Yeah, no, that's a great suggestion. August of this year, Gina came to commission and kind of gave an update on where it's at. The East Nooksack project is about 90% finished. And I think the data points that would be very important is like you say, the cost per pass, and more importantly, how many homes have hooked up to that location. A lot of these grants have been asked and indicated that there'd be about 400 homes that could be served. I don't have the number off the top of my head, but it's substantially less than that are currently utilizing, maybe a tenth of that, that are currently utilizing. But I think by June of this year, I'd be able to come back and kind of give a lessons learned associated with East Nooksack. The thing about broadband, it changes on a monthly basis, right? As it relates to public investment into it, like that started early in 2019 with the CARES Act dollars that were allocated to it, with Washington State and different public entities like the port taking a leadership role. And now with BEAD funding coming through, that's more targeted to private investment, which is really where the BEAD applications are, or private construction and operation. And really public entities are partnering for this 25% match. And so I do think that there's going to be a shift as it relates to that. And looking back at some of the public-owned projects that have IRUs to identify what the outcomes were and how many homes are hooked up, I think we could come back with some metrics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Commissioner Bell?
Nothing for me.
And I have none. So I guess we'll vote on the consent agenda here. Commissioner Shepard?
Yes.
Commissioner Bell?
Yes.
Commissioner Briscoe's yes. Carries. We'll go to action items. And,
Motion to authorize the executive director to execute an agreement between the Port of Bellingham and Public Health Institute Civic Spark for an AmeriCorps Fellow. who might be with us.
Yes. Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Adrienne Douglas Scott. I am the Sustainability Program Manager for the Port of Bellingham. I also want to recognize Danica Holt, who's sitting right here beside me. She has been working with us for about 6 months as our energy program intern, and what I'm going to talk about is related to Danica. So it's important that she's here. Thank you for putting this up. So my presentation today is about the BUMP, which is what we affectionately call the Building and Infrastructure Energy Management Program here at the Port. So the BUMP and Civic Spark. So the BUMP, just as a reminder, is a multi-divisional program that we developed a couple of years ago in response to news that the Clean Buildings Act was going to apply to us. So we've got a number of things going on with that. This is one of many initiatives that we've covered in our recent sustainability report. Just got to give that a plug as well. The BUMP bridges numerous port divisions, so maintenance, facilities, the airport, real estate, environmental, engineering, basically everybody at the port is affected by this. It does require excellent communication and engagement with our staff as well as with our tenants as well. So the BUMP really does contact everyone. It formalizes the work that our maintenance crews and facilities crews are already doing to make our buildings more comfortable, make the lighting work, upgrade the lighting. It prioritizes those future efforts as well, and puts long-term processes into place. So ultimately, that will result in different recommendations for maintenance of our systems in our buildings, behavioral changes within our buildings, so by staff and by tenants, that's where the tenants come in, and recommendations for capital projects in the future as well. This all leads to Clean Buildings Act compliance, that's a state law. CSEM target achievement, if you remember, CSEM is our Commercial Strategic Energy Management Program. That's through PSE, and that provides us incentives. So we've got the carrot with CSEM, with those incentives, and we've got the stick with the Clean Buildings Act compliance. And the BUMP ultimately helps us with those. It helps us to reduce the costs and reduces our greenhouse gas emissions as well. So it helps us meet our targets of our climate action strategy. So the team that meets regularly for the BUMP includes representatives from maintenance, real estate, environmental, engineering, and our energy program intern, Danica. She will hopefully be bringing you a presentation on her work specifically in the future. But she's been with us for about 5 3/4 months now. And in about a week, that 6-month internship will be up. And there is a 1-day overlap with the end of that internship and the start of this Civic Spark Fellowship. So the timing was pretty perfect on this. So Civic Spark it enables us to hire an energy program fellow, and Danica fits the bill for that. She's been a great fit for us. She's a recent Western Washington graduate, so she's got that expertise that the staff doesn't have necessarily at this point. The Civic Spark program on the bottom left is actually administered by the Public Health Institute, and it is an AmeriCorps program. So it is a federal program. Danica was saying she was fingerprinted this morning, so it's got a few more intake requirements than just working for the port. There has been a lot of extra steps for both of us with that, but we're getting organized. And those fellows that are hired through Civic Spark can only work on the contracted and allowable service activities. So there's a lot of benefits to us. Really, it's capacity building for us. It helps fill a gap that we wouldn't necessarily be able to fill otherwise with the knowledge that she has. So she can really bridge the gap between what the environmental and the legal requirements are, as well as what our maintenance folks are doing. So she's helping to put processes into place so that there's a flow between those two. So the benefits to us are a continuation of her work with the BUMP program. Workforce development, we talk about it, and now you're seeing it in action, and it will create those long-term systems for ensuring compliance. Part of Civic Spark's mandate is volunteer engagement, so Danica will be doing a few more things out in the community, and she gets the benefit of additional training and professional development opportunities that we wouldn't be able to provide through the port. So other benefits to that are that the HR and benefits are administered through Civic Spark, so that takes it off of our staff's hands and puts it onto Civic Spark's. Other benefits to Danica are that there's health benefits for her, other networking, and I believe there's a housing stipend through the Washington Climate Corps network as well. So lots of benefits all around. It's a really good deal for us at the port. Instead of hiring a consultant, we're able to do this, and honestly, I think it's a much better outcome for us as well as for Danica. So with that, I'll say we heartily recommend approval, and if you have any questions, we're both here for you.
Mr. Bell.
You can't beat heartily. No, I've got no questions.
Commissioner Shepard.
Sounds like a great program, and glad to have some continuation of you being here. So thanks for wanting to continue this work. No other questions.
Glad to have you on board, and thanks for what you're doing. I have no other questions, so we'll go to a vote for motion to authorize the executive director to execute an agreement between the Port of Bellingham and the Public Health Institute, Civic Spark, for an American Corps Fellow. Commissioner Shepard.
Yes.
Commissioner Bell.
Yes.
Commissioner Briscoe, yes, carries.
Congrats.
Okay, we've got a motion to approve a third fee category to be added to the Bellingham Dockside Markets vendor fee structure.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Tiffany DeSimone, Director of Maritime. I don't have any slides for you. You have an action in front of you. Before I get to that, I'd just like to give a little bit of reminder of the background on Dockside Market. First of all, we have Carrie Chan, who's the Dockside Market Coordinator here, and Stephanie Wiley, who's our Community Outreach Manager, two super capable folks who direct and run that market and do the community outreach there. They also could be presenting, but I am the lucky one today. So, a little background on Dockside. In 2002, you may remember, we assumed governance, the Port of Bellingham assumed governance from the very capable hands of Deb Granger and Seafeast. And since that time, the market has been meeting every first and third Saturday of each month, only missing one Saturday due to weather, which there was a lot of hand wringing and we didn't want to cancel, but it was a safety issue. So we did, and that was in October of last year. So anyway, very proud of that consistency record. So the Dockside Coordinator, Carrie, and Stephanie convene regularly with the vendors. They meet for 3 official vendor meetings every year. And then there's additional meetings where they do trainings. That program has instituted the SNAP program for all the vendors to use, which is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, making that accessible to more making healthy local seafood accessible to more community members. So they've done a great job with our accounting team in processing those. That group gets their direction from a vendor handbook that was a collaborative process with the stakeholders. That handbook has 4 core values that the market tries to abide by. Those are gratitude to Indigenous people, connection with our fishing families, seafood and fishing education, and then what this action memo applies to, I believe, sustainability and support of small business practices. So that vendor handbook has been really a great guiding document up until now. This action memo in front of you asks to approve a third fee category. Originally, when we established the 2 flat fees for under $1,000 sales and over $1,000 sales, that served us well when it was mostly all fishing vendors. What we've seen over the development of the program is that we have some smaller vendors who are doing maritime-related art or other maritime-related sales. And their sales are typically much less. And so this is giving opportunity for the $10 fee for under $300. And so that is the action we are requesting you approve today, is that third fee category.
Makes all the sense in the world. Thank you.
Mr. Shepard.
Sounds reasonable. I'm wondering how much do we market Dockside? I see some advertising on I see some kind of publicity on Facebook. How much further are we getting the word out? You know, when I go down there, it seems busy, and I don't necessarily have data that I can draw from that supports how busy it is or how much growth we're seeing there, but I do wonder about how much we are advertising to the region.
Yeah, so most everything is Facebook and Instagram at this point in time, but there's also a lot of word of mouth. Carrie attends other events, Blue Drinks, works with the Working Waterfront Coalition. There's a lot of collaboration, but as far as formal marketing, I wouldn't say there's a lot. We will be coming forward in the next couple of months with an update showing you the numbers and the changes in the market, and I think that'll provide some data that shows you how the growth of the market's happened.
Yeah, good. I'll look forward to it.
Yeah, anything else?
Do the vendors themselves, a lot of them do some formal market?
Yeah, so our port staff collaborates, so they'll post on their social media, and then we'll share across, and all the information goes to Carrie before the sales, and then we're able to share to stories.
Could you repeat that, the fees change, the level and the cost?
Yep. So there's this new fee would be for sales under $300, would be $10, and then sales under 1,000, so 301 to 1,000 would be $35, and over 1,000 is $50.
Okay.
And permanent mortgage customers are exempt from that fee.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thanks. Any further questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
A motion to approve a third fee category to be added to the Bellingham Dockside Markets vendor fee structure. Commissioner Bell?
Yes.
Commissioner Shepard?
Yes.
Commissioner Briscoe's yes, carries 3-0. So that brings us to the end of our action items, and we'll go to the end of the public meeting comment. Anybody have any comments? So we don't have any written down. Anybody in the audience wish to say something? Oh, come on, Dan. Got to get something off your chest. Okay, so hearing no one online? No one checked in? Okay. Wow. Go to other business. Commissioner Shepard.
All right. I just had one. I got a question from a tenant about needs assessment for the Sawtooth here in Squalicum Harbor, and where we're at with understanding needs for that. And there was a specific question about some of the asphalt paving over the decking and some potential penetrations that had developed. So wondering about where we are with understanding that structure and how we address any upgrade or repair needs.
Thanks, Commissioner. Yes, we did a conditions assessment on the Sawtooth in end of 2024. We budgeted for that. We're finalizing that report currently, and we'll start to plan our capital projects for those sorts of repairs, but we'll get somebody out there and take a look at it.
Okay. So the needs assessment will kind of like a larger
Yep.
kind of structural needs and ongoing maintenance. Is that part of the Inner Harbor replacement in any way, or is that totally separate?
It is not part of the Inner Harbor.
Yeah, okay. So but we will look at any immediate needs.
Of course,
Okay,
regarding safety.
great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Should be able to put some cold patch on that.
Yeah, sounds like there was maybe some water visible through the
I
deck.
think some of the repairs are going to be internal, done by our maintenance department, and they'll go out there and do some cold patch, and others are going to have to be bid out and be a bigger job. But
Well, it's an important facility. It gets a lot of use. It's
Yeah.
a big economic driver for the,
Got a hole, those big fuel trucks going out there will crush it pretty quick.
yeah.
Commissioner Bell?
That's it. Yeah, that's it for me.
Yeah, so I told Matt and Tamara that we'd go until 5:07, and so I feel obligated to fill the gap with my
you can sing the Cougar Fight song.
rendition of, I have absolutely nothing.
Okay. I'd like to speak out to the staff and volunteers that helped over the holidays with our gingerbread program and everything that went on over at the cruise terminal. It was outstanding. I was there with some folks, and thanks to everybody who was there, and it's a great thing. I mean, and the line keeps getting longer. It's just amazing the turnout that receives, and it's a great thing. People in the whole county, and I think outside of our county, actually look forward to it. So, thank you for what you do and the time you put into it.
Do we have any numbers from that?
Thank you for putting me on the spot, Rob. Stephanie Wiley, Community Outreach Manager. We don't do any official counts at Holiday Port for attendees because people are coming in from all doors into that building, but we estimate 3,000 to 4,000 people through the building over the course of the weekend. We had 24 performances and 75 gingerbread houses, I believe. And I think our volunteers gave out 3,000 cookies. So yeah, it was a big weekend and a lot of happy faces. So yeah.
Well, thanks to you people very much. And I might mention that the Maritime Museum down there, had a lot of traffic through that. And if people are watching or listening, haven't been to that, you should really go. It's quite an interesting history. It's not just here, it's from the Columbia River on up to Alaska. So it's all the waterfront history. So any other business, Commissioner Shepard? Commissioner Bell? Okay, I'm going to close the general meeting and we're going to recess to executive session.